First contact gone wrong. The quantum detection array at Luna Base picked up the anomaly at 300 hours Earth Standard Time. Dr. Sarah Chen had been reviewing routine sensor data when the readings spiked off the charts. What started as a pinpoint of unusual energy quickly expanded into something that defied conventional physics. "Director Matthews," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "You need to see this." The array's holographic display showed a massive tear in spacetime forming just beyond Mars' orbit. Within minutes, the first ships emerged, sleek vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their hulls rippled with patterns that made human eyes struggle to focus. "My God," Matthews whispered, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic display. First contact. But this wasn't the peaceful first contact humanity had hoped for. The Nexari Empire's arrival would later be marked as the day Earth learned it wasn't alone, and that the galaxy was far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. The alien vessels moved with impossible precision, their formation speaking of military discipline. Within hours, they had established a blockade around Earth's major orbital installations. No shots were fired, but the message was clear: resistance would be futile. When the first transmission came, it was in perfect English, a sign that the Nexari had been watching humanity for longer than anyone suspected. "People of Earth," the message began, broadcasting on all frequencies. "You have been chosen to join the Nexari Empire. Your resistance is anticipated but unnecessary. Your technology is primitive, your defenses inadequate. Submit, and you will be granted the privilege of serving a superior civilization." In the United Nations emergency session that followed, Earth's leaders faced an impossible choice. The Nexari ships outmassed Earth's combined space forces by orders of magnitude. Their technology was centuries, perhaps millennia, beyond anything humanity possessed. Admiral Helena Reyes, commander of Earth's combined space force, stood before the Security Council with grim determination. "They expect us to roll over," she said, her voice carrying across the silent chamber. "They've done this before, dozens, maybe hundreds of times. They're following a playbook that's worked for them consistently. But they've never met humans before." The Nexari ambassador, a tall, ethereal being named Vorkath, arrived at the UN with an air of casual superiority. Its translucent skin seemed to shimmer with internal light, and its 4 eyes blinked in an unsettling rhythm. The terms it presented were simple. Earth would become a protectorate of the Empire. Humans would serve as labor, soldiers, and resources for the greater glory of the Nexari. But something happened that the Nexari hadn't anticipated. Instead of the immediate capitulation they expected, they encountered questions. Detailed, probing questions about their technology, their society, their intentions. Every human they interacted with seemed obsessed with understanding how things worked. Dr. Chen, now part of the diplomatic team, noticed something during these exchanges. The Nexari representatives showed subtle signs of discomfort when discussing certain technical topics, particularly their quantum shield technology. It was almost imperceptible. A slight fluctuation in their bioluminescence, a minor change in their speech patterns. While the diplomatic talks continued on the surface, Earth's scientists and military strategists worked tirelessly below ground. The questions weren't just curiosity. They were gathering intelligence. Every interaction with the Nexari was recorded, analyzed, and cross-referenced. The breaking point came when Vorkath demanded immediate compliance with the Empire's terms. In the middle of his ultimatum, Dr. Chen interrupted with a question about quantum field harmonics that made the ambassador physically recoil. "You ask too many questions," Vorkath hissed, its composure cracking for the first time. "Questions are the mark of an inferior species." Admiral Reyes, watching from the sidelines, smiled slightly. The Nexari had just confirmed something crucial. They feared questioning, investigation, understanding. Their empire was built on blind obedience and technological superiority. But humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or defenses. It was in its relentless drive to understand, adapt, and overcome. As the first part of Earth's response to the Nexari ultimatum, every human settlement on Mars and Luna began broadcasting a continuous stream of questions about Nexari technology, society, and biology on all frequencies. The effect was immediate and stunning. The Nexari ship's energy signatures became erratic, their perfect formation showing signs of disorder. "Your species will learn compliance," Vorkath declared before storming out of the UN. Within hours, the Nexari fleet began positioning for what they assumed would be a swift and decisive strike against Earth's major military installations. But humanity had no intention of fighting the way the Nexari expected. In labs and workshops across the globe, scientists and engineers were already working on something unprecedented, a way to turn humanity's questioning nature into a weapon the Nexari would never see coming. As the first shots were fired in Earth's atmosphere, Admiral Rice sent a message to all Earth forces. "They expect us to fight like everyone else they've conquered. Let's show them how humans fight instead." The war for Earth's freedom was about to begin, and the Nexari were about to learn that there's nothing more dangerous than underestimating humanity's capacity for innovation. The hidden advantage. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a hastily expanded research facility, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the data scrolling across her holographic display. The Nexari's first assault had been devastating but oddly limited. Their ships had targeted military installations with surgical precision, but something about their attack pattern nagged at her scientific instincts. "They're avoiding population centers," she muttered, marking another data point on the virtual map. But not out of mercy. Admiral Rice stood beside her, watching the patterns emerge. The facility buzzed with activity as scientists and military personnel worked around the clock. Earth had lost its satellite network in the first strike, but ground-based sensors were painting a curious picture of the Nexari assault. "They're scared of something," Rice said, her eyes narrowing. "Something about human cities makes them nervous." The revelation came from an unexpected source. Dr. James Morrison, a quantum physicist who'd been studying the Nexari ship's energy signatures, burst into the command center with wild eyes. "It's noise," he exclaimed. "They're avoiding our electromagnetic chaos." The research team quickly confirmed Morrison's theory. Human cities produced a complex web of electromagnetic frequencies, cellular signals, Wi-Fi networks, radio broadcasts, and countless electronic devices, creating a chaotic symphony of radiation. The Nexari ships maintained a careful distance from this electromagnetic mess. "They're quantum shields," Chen breathed, the pieces falling into place. "They're not just defensive technology. They're part of their ship's basic functioning, and they require precise electromagnetic conditions to operate." The discovery sparked a frenzied period of innovation. While the Nexari continued their methodical destruction of military targets, humanity began to understand their opponent's fundamental weakness. The aliens' technological superiority was built on quantum mechanics so advanced it seemed like magic, but it required absolute precision to function. In makeshift labs around the world, human scientists began experimenting with ways to disrupt the quantum fields that the Nexari relied on. They found that simple radio waves, when broadcast at specific frequencies and patterns, could create interference that made the alien shields fluctuate. But the real breakthrough came when Chen's team discovered something extraordinary about human music. The complex harmonies and rhythms, when translated into electromagnetic waves, created patterns that the Nexari ships couldn't compensate for. Classical music proved particularly effective. The mathematical complexity of Bach's compositions could disrupt Nexari quantum fields in ways that simple jamming signals couldn't. They evolved in an environment of order. Chen explained to the military leadership. Their technology reflects that. Everything precisely controlled, perfectly balanced. But humans, we thrive in chaos. Our art, our music, our very civilization is built on embracing and creating complexity. Admiral Reyes immediately grasped the implications. "We don't need to match their technology," she said, a fierce grin spreading across her face. "We just need to make it impossible for their technology to function in our environment." The plan that emerged was audacious. Instead of trying to shoot down Nexeri ships with conventional weapons, humanity would turn Earth itself into a weapon. Every broadcasting station, every cell tower, every electronic device would be modified to emit specific frequencies. The world's cities would become electromagnetic battlegrounds where Nexeri technology simply couldn't function. The first test came when a Nexeri strike force attempted to attack a seemingly undefended research facility in Brazil. As they approached, the city's modified broadcasting infrastructure activated. The air filled with a complex web of electromagnetic frequencies, carrying everything from death metal to Mozart. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The Nexeri ship's perfect formation dissolved. Their quantum shields flickered and failed, forcing them to retreat before Earth's conventional defenses could even engage them. Vorkath's response was transmitted globally. Your primitive attempts at resistance are futile. The Empire has conquered species far more advanced than yours. But humanity wasn't trying to match Nexeri advancement. They were doing something the Empire had never encountered before. They were turning their own technological limitations into an advantage. Teams of engineers and musicians worked together, composing electromagnetic symphonies designed specifically to disrupt Nexeri quantum fields. The Nexeri responded by attempting to knock out Earth's power grid, but they'd underestimated human preparedness and resourcefulness. Years of planning for various doomsday scenarios meant that most critical infrastructure had backup systems and redundancies. Solar panels, wind turbines, and other decentralized power sources kept the electromagnetic defense grid running. As the second week of the invasion began, humanity had transformed its apparent weakness, its messy, chaotic, undisciplined nature, into its greatest strength. The Nexeri's perfect formations and advanced technology were being undone by Bach concertos and heavy metal concerts broadcast at specific frequencies. But Chen and her team knew this was just the beginning. The Nexeri would adapt, find ways to shield themselves against these disruptions. Humanity needed more than just a defensive strategy. They needed a way to take the fight to the enemy. In a secured lab beneath the mountain, Chen and Morrison worked on the next phase of their plan. If human music could disrupt Nexeri quantum fields, perhaps it could be used to do more than just disable their shields. Perhaps it could be weaponized in ways the Nexeri would never expect. As they worked, Admiral Rice prepared Earth's conventional forces for what would come next. The Nexeri had never faced a species that could neutralize their technological advantage. Now they would learn what humans could do when fighting on equal terms. Send word to all commands, Rice ordered. Operation Thunderstrike begins at dawn. Operation Thunderstrike. Dawn broke over the Himalayas as humanity launched its first coordinated offensive against the Nexeri Empire. The plan was unlike anything the aliens had encountered in their millennia of conquest, a symphony of chaos and precision that would shake their understanding of warfare. Admiral Rice stood in the Global Command Center, watching as signals from around the world confirmed readiness. Every major city had been transformed into an electromagnetic weapon, broadcasting carefully crafted frequencies that made Nexeri quantum technology unreliable at best, useless at worst. All commands report ready, her communications officer announced. The trap is set. Dr. Chen's latest breakthrough had proven even more devastating than their initial discovery. Not only could human music disrupt Nexeri shields, but specific harmonic patterns could actually interfere with their ship's quantum drive systems. The result was a weapon that didn't just disable their defenses, it could potentially trap them in normal space. Begin Phase 1, Rice ordered. Across the globe, modified transmission towers began broadcasting a new pattern of signals. Unlike the defensive electromagnetic chaos they'd been using, this was a carefully orchestrated symphony of frequencies designed to draw the Nexeri in. To their sensors, it would appear as if Earth's defensive grid was failing. The Nexeri response was swift and predictable. Their ships descended from high orbit, moving to exploit what they perceived as weaknesses in Earth's defenses. Leading the assault was Vorkath's flagship, a massive vessel that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. "They're taking the bait," Chen reported, monitoring the alien ship's approach. Energy signatures show they're diverting power to weapons systems, leaving their quantum drives at minimal power. That was exactly what Earth's forces had been waiting for. As the Nexari fleet entered the atmosphere, the trap was sprung. Every city, every broadcast station, every modified device suddenly shifted frequencies, bombarding the alien ships with precisely calculated electromagnetic patterns. The effect was immediate and catastrophic for the invaders. Their quantum drives, already at minimal power, failed completely. Dozens of Nexari ships found themselves trapped in Earth's atmosphere, their advanced technology rendered useless by what they had dismissed as primitive broadcasting equipment. But humanity wasn't done. From hidden bases around the world, squadrons of fighters launched into the sky. These weren't the same aircraft the Nexari had easily destroyed in the early days of the invasion. Each had been modified with electromagnetic pulse generators, tuned to the exact frequency that would disrupt Nexari systems. "This is Thunder Leader," Captain Maya Rodriguez's voice crackled over the command channel. "Beginning attack run on primary target." Her squadron led the charge, their aircraft dancing through the chaos of disabled Nexari ships. The aliens attempted to return fire, but their targeting systems were in disarray, their shots going wild as Earth's electromagnetic assault continued to scramble their technology. In space, the second phase of Operation Thunderstrike began. Humanity's few remaining orbital platforms, which had appeared disabled to Nexari sensors, suddenly activated. Each launched swarms of small, autonomous drones, another innovation born of desperate times. These drones, dubbed Fireflies by their creators, were deceptively simple devices. They carried no weapons, no shields, just powerful electromagnetic broadcasters programmed with Dr. Morrison's latest algorithms. They swarmed around the larger Nexari vessels, surrounding them in bubbles of localized interference. Vorkath's voice boomed across all frequencies, trying to maintain control of the deteriorating situation. "This primitive resistance is futile. The Empire cannot be defeated by such simple tricks." But simple tricks were proving remarkably effective. The Nexari fleet, accustomed to relying on their advanced technology, found themselves fighting blind. Their ships, designed for the precise, ordered combat of space, were ill-equipped for the chaotic environment Earth had become. On the ground, Chen and her team monitored the battle from their mountain facility. "Their quantum field coherence is failing across the board," she reported. "They can't maintain stable shields or weapon locks in this environment." The turning point came when Rodriguez's squadron reached Vorkath's flagship. The massive vessel, trapped by overlapping fields of electromagnetic interference, could neither retreat nor effectively fight back. Its quantum drives sputtered and failed, leaving it hovering helplessly over the Indian Ocean. "All squadrons, converge on the flagship," Rice commanded. "Show them what happens when humanity fights back." The coordinated attack that followed was a testament to human adaptation and ingenuity. Fighters struck from multiple angles, their conventional weapons now effective against the disabled Nexari shields. The Firefly drones maintained their electromagnetic assault, preventing the alien vessels from stabilizing their systems. In orbit, the remaining Nexari ships watched helplessly as their ground force was systematically dismantled by what they had considered an inferior species. Their own attempts to provide support were thwarted by the expanding cloud of Firefly drones, which had turned near-Earth orbit into a no-go zone for quantum technology. As Vorkath's flagship began to fall from the sky, the alien commander finally realized the magnitude of their miscalculation. They had assumed technological superiority meant assured victory. They had never considered that a primitive species might find a way to turn that very technology against them. "This is impossible," Vorkath's final transmission echoed across the battlefield. "You were supposed to be primitive, helpless." Admiral Rice allowed herself a small smile as she watched the Nexari forces retreat in disarray. "We're humanity," she murmured. "We specialize in impossible." But even as Earth's forces celebrated their victory, Chen's monitors detected something new. Unknown ships appearing at the edge of the solar system. These weren't Nexari vessels, but something else entirely. The pattern of their quantum signatures was different, almost as if. "Admiral," Chen called out, her voice urgent. "I think we're about to have more visitors. And these ones have been watching everything we just did." The Alliance. The unknown ships hung at the edge of the solar system like distant stars, their presence both a promise and a threat. Earth's forces remained on high alert, the electromagnetic defense grid humming at full power. After their victory against the Nexari, humanity was ready for anything, or so they thought. "They're broadcasting," Lieutenant Harris announced in the command center. "Multiple frequencies, but it's not Nexari encryption." Dr. Chen studied the incoming signals, her fingers dancing across holographic displays. The quantum signatures are completely different. More elegant, somehow. Like they found a way to work with chaos rather than trying to control it. The message, when it came through, was unexpected. "People of Earth, we are the Concordiate. We have watched your battle against the Nexari Empire with great interest. You have accomplished what many thought impossible. We request permission to approach and discuss an alliance." Admiral Rice exchanged glances with the assembled UN leadership. Earth had just fought off one alien invasion. Was this another trick? But something about these newcomers felt different. Their technology, Chen observed, it's like a fusion of quantum mechanics and wave dynamics. They're not fighting against electromagnetic interference. They're using it. After careful deliberation, Earth granted the Concordiate permission to send a single ship to the International Space Station, which had survived the Nexari assault. The vessel that approached was unlike anything they'd seen before. Where Nexari ships were angular and imposing, this craft moved like liquid light, its hull seeming to flow rather than simply exist. The Concordiate representatives were equally surprising. They were a species called the Arvani, and they too had once faced the Nexari Empire. But instead of falling or submitting, they had gone into hiding, spending centuries developing technology that could counter Nexari quantum supremacy. "We have watched many civilizations fall to the Empire," explained first speaker Lyra, her translucent form shifting with subtle colors as she addressed the UN Security Council. "Most tried to match their technology, to beat them at their own game. None succeeded. Until you." What followed was a revelation. The Concordiate wasn't just one species. It was an alliance of civilizations that had survived Nexari expansion, each contributing their own unique approaches and technologies. Some had developed stealth systems that could hide entire planets. Others had mastered biological computing that the Nexari couldn't detect or disrupt. "Your approach was unique," Lyra continued. "Instead of trying to eliminate chaos, you weaponized it. You turned your civilization's complexity into a shield and a sword. We believe this makes you ideal candidates for membership in the Concordiate." The offer was tempting, but Earth's leaders had learned caution. What exactly would this membership entail? Admiral Rice asked, her voice carrying across the chamber. Lyra's response was direct. "We offer knowledge, technology, and protection. In return, we ask for your innovation, your unique perspective. The Nexari Empire is vast, controlling thousands of worlds. What you achieved here was remarkable, but they will return, with adaptations to counter your current defenses." Dr. Chen, who had been quietly analyzing Concordiate technology, spoke up. "Their quantum field manipulation is incredible. It's like they found a middle ground between Nexari rigid control and our chaotic broadcasting." The implications were staggering. With Concordiate knowledge, humanity's electromagnetic defenses could evolve beyond simple disruption. They could learn to manipulate quantum fields with precision while maintaining their unpredictable edge. But the Alliance offered more than just technological exchange. The Concordiate revealed the existence of dozens of species currently under Nexari control, waiting for an opportunity to rebel. Earth's victory had sent shockwaves through the Empire, inspiring hope in countless subjugated worlds. "You've proven that the Nexari aren't invincible," Lyra explained. But more importantly, you've shown that victory doesn't require matching their development path. Each civilization's unique characteristics can become strengths rather than weaknesses. As if to emphasize this point, the Arvani shared their analysis of Earth's battle tactics. What humans saw as desperate improvisation, they recognized as brilliant asymmetrical warfare. The use of music to disrupt quantum fields, the swarm tactics of the Firefleet drones, the deliberate embrace of chaos. These were strategies the Nexeri had never encountered in their millennia of conquest. Admiral Rice found herself working closely with Concordia military strategists, combining Earth's unconventional tactics with their advanced technology. The result was something entirely new, a hybrid approach that could adapt and evolve as rapidly as human culture itself. The Nexeri believe in absolute control, a Concordiat weapons developer explained. Their ships, their soldiers, their entire society is built on this principle. But the universe itself tends toward chaos, toward complexity. You humans understand this instinctively. Dr. Chen's team began collaborating with Arvani scientists, merging their understanding of quantum mechanics with human creativity. The possibilities seemed endless. If human music could disrupt Nexeri quantum fields, what else might be possible when art and science merged in unexpected ways? But even as these exchanges flourished, Earth's leaders remained focused on the immediate threat. The Nexeri Empire would not take their defeat lightly. Their response would be calculated, overwhelming, and utterly without mercy. They'll adapt to our current defenses, Chen warned during a strategic briefing. We need to be ready with something new, something they can't predict. Lyra's response was both reassuring and challenging. That's exactly why we need you. The Nexeri can adapt to specific tactics, specific technologies, but they cannot adapt to the fundamental human trait that makes you so dangerous, your endless capacity for innovation. As if to prove her point, reports began arriving from across Nexeri space. Inspired by Earth's victory, other worlds were beginning to resist. The Empire's perfect order was showing cracks, its control slipping wherever their rigid responses met unexpected resistance. The stage was set for something unprecedented, not just a war of technology or territory, but a clash between fundamentally different ways of existing in the universe, and humanity, for better or worse, was now at the center of it all. Dawn of a new era. 6 months after Earth's alliance with the Concordiat, the Nexeri Empire launched its counterattack. Their fleet emerged from quantum space in numbers that darkened the skies of a dozen worlds simultaneously. But this time, they found something they didn't expect, a galaxy that was no longer afraid. Admiral Rice stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiant, Earth's first quantum hybrid warship. Built with Concordiat technology, but powered by human ingenuity, it represented everything the Nexeri feared. The perfect fusion of order and chaos. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Lieutenant Harris reported. The Nexeri have developed some kind of electromagnetic shielding. Our original disruption frequencies aren't having the same effect. Dr. Chen, now heading the Joint Human Arvani Science Division, smiled slightly. As expected. That's why we're not using the same tricks twice. The Defiant's quantum core hummed with an unusual rhythm. The ship's systems were being regulated by an artificial intelligence that used human music as its base programming language. Bach's counterpoint melodies and jazz improvisations had been transformed into quantum algorithms that could adapt and evolve in real time. All ships, implement Protocol Prometheus, Rice commanded. The order went out not just to Earth's fleet, but to resistance forces across the galaxy. On 100 worlds, people who had lived under Nexeri oppression for generations were ready to rise up. The Nexeri assault began with typical precision. Their ships, now protected against the electromagnetic disruption that had proved so effective during Earth's defense, moved in perfect formation. Leading the attack was High Commander Xarkath, Vorkath's successor, determined to restore the Empire's reputation. Your resistance ends today. Xarkath's transmission boomed across all frequencies. The Empire has adapted. Your primitive tricks will not save you this time. They never learn, do they? Chen remarked, monitoring the quantum field fluctuations. They still think this is about technology. The battle that followed would be studied for centuries to come. The Nexeri fleet engaged with overwhelming force, their improved shields shrugging off the electromagnetic attacks that had proved so devastating before. But this was exactly what the Alliance had anticipated. As the Nexeri pressed their attack, the true nature of Protocol Prometheus was revealed. Every ship in the Allied fleet began broadcasting on quantum frequencies, not to attack, but to communicate. The AI systems, based on human musical principles, began to improvise together like a vast jazz ensemble. The effect was subtle at first. Nexeri quantum shields held, their ships maintained formation. But something was happening on a deeper level. The human-designed AIs weren't trying to break through the Nexeri defenses. They were teaching their ships how to dance. Quantum field coherence is starting to fluctuate. Chen reported, watching the readings with satisfaction. Their rigid control systems can't maintain stability while trying to process our quantum jazz. The Nexeri ships began to move erratically, their perfect formations dissolving into chaos. Their improved shielding, designed to resist specific forms of attack, couldn't adapt to an enemy that kept changing its patterns. Every time their systems adjusted to one frequency, the Allied ships shifted to another, like musicians changing key in mid-performance. But the real surprise came from the worlds under Nexeri control. The resistance forces, equipped with simplified versions of Earth's quantum technology, began their own broadcasts. Each planet added its own cultural music to the quantum symphony, creating a galaxy-wide concert that overwhelmed the Nexeri's rigid control systems. "This is impossible." Exarchath's voice cracked with frustration. "You cannot defeat order with chaos." "That's where you're wrong," Rise responded calmly. "We're not creating chaos. We're creating harmony, something your empire never understood." The Defiant led the charge, its hybrid systems demonstrating what was possible when different approaches to technology were allowed to combine and evolve. Human creativity, concordiate precision, and the unique contributions of a dozen other species all flowed together into something entirely new. As the battle reached its climax, the Nexeri Empire faced a choice they had never encountered before. Their traditional strategies were useless against an enemy that turned adaptation itself into a weapon. Their rigid hierarchy couldn't compete with the fluid, collaborative approach of the Alliance. "Your empire is built on the idea that order must be imposed." Chen's message went out to all Nexeri ships. "But we've discovered something better, order that emerges naturally from cooperation, from embracing our differences rather than suppressing them." The Nexeri fleet's coordination continued to deteriorate. Ships began to break formation, their crews unable to maintain control as the quantum symphony reached a crescendo. Some vessels simply shut down, their systems overwhelmed by the complexity of the signals they were trying to process. In a final, desperate move, Exarchath ordered his flagship to attempt a quantum jump directly into Earth's atmosphere. A suicide run aimed at decapitating the Alliance's leadership, but the Defiant was ready. Its hybrid systems, guided by the music-based AI, predicted the quantum jump coordinates and responded with a precisely timed counterpoint. The flagship emerged from quantum space directly into a focused beam of electromagnetic energy, its shields completely out of phase. In that moment, the mighty Nexeri Empire effectively ended, not with a bang, but with a symphony. The aftermath brought changes no one had predicted. Many Nexeri ships surrendered, their crews secretly relieved to be free of the Empire's rigid control. Others fled into deep space, but without their central authority, they posed little threat. The real work was just beginning. "We didn't just win a war today," Lyra addressed the combined fleet. "We proved that the future belongs not to those who impose order, but to those who can find harmony in diversity." Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, became a center for cultural and technological exchange. The human approach to problem solving, creative, adaptable, and often seemingly chaotic, proved to be exactly what the galaxy needed to heal from centuries of Nexera control. Dr. Chen's team continued to explore the intersection of art and science, developing new technologies that worked with the universe's natural tendency toward complexity rather than fighting against it. Admiral Rice helped establish a new kind of defensive force, one based on cooperation and adaptation rather than domination. But perhaps the most profound change was in how species across the galaxy began to view themselves and each other. The victory over the Nexari proved that true strength didn't come from technological superiority or rigid control, but from the ability to embrace change, to learn from others, and to find unity in diversity. As the Defiant returned to Earth, its crew looked out at their home planet with new eyes. They had faced the galaxy's greatest empire and won not by becoming more like their enemy, but by staying true to what made humanity unique: their creativity, their adaptability, and their endless capacity to imagine new possibilities. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and humanity was ready to help guide the galaxy toward a future where difference was celebrated, not feared, and where the symphony of cooperation would always be stronger than the silence of control.